Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Today, I was going to talk about watch prices and what's going on there, but something that will impact watch prices has happened that has dominated the news and is taking everyone's attention. The news on everyone's lips right now is the purchase of Bucherer by Rolex and also Tourneau because Bucherer just recently bought Tourneau. So Rolex is getting the number one watch retailer in the world. That's a big thing. Now, there are a lot of people who are, armchair quarterbacking it. Well, I'm armchair quarterbacking it, right? I mean, we're all just throwing our opinions in. Um, how it will all play out has not yet been determined, right? But from my point of view, and this is just my point of view, as I've said many times, I'm not an arbiter of anything. I think it's a bad idea. I think that the regulators responsible for approving a merger of this nature in the countries involved, I hope they reject it. They probably won't. They might. You never know. Because they would see what I see, that it is a conflict of interest within the industry. But then you would say, "Alex, everybody's got boutiques. Everybody's got branded stores." But to take a retailer that at least was supposed to be impartial to the lines they carried. I mean, obviously, every retailer has prejudices and favoritisms and the like. But the bottom line is, a retailer, it behooved them to sell all the watches in their inventory from all of the manufacturers because nobody wants dead inventory. But if your brand owns the store, that math changes rapidly. And the whole issue of favoritism, I mean, there's no favoritism if it's your store in the purest sense. But to take a facility that used to at least pretend to present brands like Breitling and Nomos and Omega and Hamilton and Tag Heuer and present them to the world in a nice environment that make you want to shop there and buy things. Now that it's owned by the big player, the biggest player, what does that do for the selling environment for the other watch companies? You know, the ones that can are going to build more of their own branded retail facilities, but not every watch brand can. You know, not every watch brand can afford that. And I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Rolex can't satisfy current demand. They're jerking everybody off left and right about these imaginary waiting lists. And now they've bought this a major retailer, and now they're gonna what, jerk us off in a more refined sense? Because the thing is that um, once the shop is owned by Rolex, and then they say, well, there's a list and all of this other. I mean, how many layers of BS do you want to wade through to find out even if you can get the watch that they have? And not to mention, the industry was just about poised to start. I mean, they'd already been ramping up prices, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. But some watch brands, I don't think they're going to go through with any planned price hikes if their primary sales venue was Bucherer or Tourneau, because how can you guarantee the fealty of the shop when it is no longer independently owned, but it is owned by your competitor? You know, it's not a light issue. It really isn't. That's why I personally think the regulator should reject it. If Rolex wants more facilities, build them to put the watches that nobody can buy in them. You know, the fact that and not only is it arrogance, it's prideful arrogance almost to the point of hubris and stupidity because they're making these moves and nobody can buy a Rolex anyway. I bought my Air King on the gray market. Who can get a Rolex? And they're expanding their footprint for what? To tantalize more people, to jerk more of us off? Who's the idiot in this conversation? Really? They don't even have the merchandise to satisfy the current demand. And they're going to increase their footprint by buying the largest watch retailer in the world? And do what with it? Make people like Tudor more? I mean, Tudor is a nice brand, but it's not gonna have hegemony over everybody, even if you try to cram it down people's throats. So then now what? You go to Tourneau or you go to Bucherer, and there's a humongous Tudor display and Omega's in the back corner? Omega's not they may not be as big as Rolex or as powerful as Rolex, but Swatch Group is nothing to be frowned upon. Swatch isn't gonna sit lightly by and let Rolex try to play fast and loose with the retail industry. I mean, like I said, I think it's a conflict of interest because if they really wanted to increase their footprint, build more stores, negotiate with other vendors and increase your footprint. Buying the biggest watch retailer is a trust move. It's a hegemonic move. It's a monopolistic move. It's not healthy for anybody. It's not even healthy for Rolex. In the long run, it's not healthy for them either. This is a stupid move. I know there are a lot of people who think, "Wow, this is great for Rolex and it's great for, this and that." Yeah, it might be great in the short run for the money. But I mean, one of the things that Rolex has been successful with up to this point is being desirable yet slightly unattainable and not being in your face about it too badly and having alternatives that are available through Tudor. But once they own these facilities, and what have they increased their manufacturing capability? Are they going to have more watches, or are they going to just have more facings of these watches or for exhibition only? I think we have enough shop windows full of Rolexes that we can't buy. I think this is a bad move and it should be shot down by the regulators. What's your opinion? I really would be very interested to know how you feel about this. I'm going to tell you about the results of the poll that I put up 2 days ago on the subject after I take a look at some of the messages that came in since I started. Neil, how's it going? Neil Bailey, my friend. James Duffy. Hi, everybody. I think this move hurts the family-owned jewelers that have loyally towed the corporate line. TOE, toe. You're towing a physical line. You're lining up against the. I know it always gets confused, towing and toe the line, but yeah, the writer in me. I apologize. But yes, towed the corporate line for Rolex, even after Rolex put them in an awkward position in recent years. Exactly, James. They're peeing on our legs and telling it it's rain. I mean, who benefits from this? What does Rolex even really get out of this? They're already the number one valued brand. They're already selling everything they can sell. They want us to lick their feet when we buy too now? We go in, we have to dip our hands in the Rolex water and go, spectacles, wallet, watch, and walk in and let even more arrogant people preach at us about watches? I don't need that. I don't need that. I've had a love-hate relationship with Rolex for so long because of this kind of shenanigans, you know? I'm happy with my Air King now. In one way, I'm happy with it because it's a very un-Rolex Rolex, and in another way, it's a very Rolex, but whole episode on that, you can look at that. But, they in one sense, they are such a great company, and on another sense They're like a bad science fiction movie corporation. We want everything. What more can Rolex have that they don't have? Like I said, they already sell everything they make. Their legacy is insured for the foreseeable future. What are they going to do? Like I said, put up more shop windows with watches we can't buy? That means they have to make more watches to fill the windows with the watches they can't, that they would be better off making and selling us. What are they going to do? Fill more display cases with either what? No movement cases? I mean, but to do what? To what end? To where? What is the end game here? What will Rolex gain? They literally can't make enough watches to satisfy current demand, and they're going to expand their retail footprint. The only reason to do that would be to just be jerks and dominate the market even more and put their competition in even more precarious situation. But competition is what makes watch collecting and anything collecting, cars. Without competition, there would still be a horse. Wristwatch check. Speaking of, I'm wearing my Zenith El Primero Chronomaster Open Heart, which is a better watch on any day of the week than the Daytona. Or, I mean, I'm not saying Rolex doesn't make good watches, but there are better companies out there making better watches. And everybody's focusing on Rolex. They're taking all of our mental headspace. They're taking up all the real estate in our heads. They're taking up all the market conjecture. For what? There are so many other beautiful watches out there. Buy a Zenith. Rolex did. The first Daytona had a Zenith movement. Buy a Nomos. I'm going to do a comparison between the Air King and my Neumatic, the 42. That Nomos is an awesome, awesome watch. And pardon me, my doctor said my uric acid was too high, so I have to cut back on my beer. But it's not helping. If anyone can tell me how this is a positive move beyond simple numbers, I'll grant him the argument. So, TH, thank you, my friend. So the survey that I put up 2 days ago, we got 33 votes, which is not a lot of votes, but then again, it's a large enough sample that it's at least, I wouldn't call it statistically representative, but 30 people, 33 people is a large enough group of people that you can at least figure where the wind is blowing. And the interesting thing is 48%, 48% of them. And that is an interesting thing to think about because they took the time to click on a survey about watches on a watch channel. So they care about watches, but they don't care about the merger, which means either they don't play at that level. I'm not going to armchair quarterback why they answered. I should have, in hindsight, of course, you do everything better. But I would have maybe asked a few more refined questions. But why people don't care, almost half of respondents don't care. And that could be for a lot of reasons, from their Seiko people, so they don't care what happens in the Swiss world, or they're watch people, but they don't think about it in that angle. There are a lot of ways to interpret the fact that almost half of the respondents don't care. Now, the number who said that would be good for us and the ones that aren't sure but are thinking about it are equal at 12% each. And then, so that means that only slightly over a quarter, almost a third, think that it will not be good for us, 27%. So the majority answers are, I don't care, or it's not good for us. I'm on the group. I'm in the group of people who believe that it's not good for us because, yeah, again, we circle back. Who does it help? What does it benefit? Even if you think about it as a competitive marketplace move by Rolex, does it allow them to move more merchandise that they don't have? Does it allow them? It does allow them to retain a higher percentage of the retail because, of course, they now then are selling to themselves, so they not only get the manufacturer's cost, they get the retail markup on their own merchandise. But they'd get that if they had a retail boutique. They'd get that if they had a retail boutique. They didn't have to buy a horizontal distributor in that sense. They did not have to go out and purchase the number one venue for their competition when they themselves cannot answer their own demand. And that's the part I know I've brought that part up again and again and again in this conversation, but I can't get past that point. I can't get past that point. Why increase your retail footprint when you don't have product to sell? How stupid do you think we are? I mean, how sheep-like. So now Rolex is gonna own the biggest watch retailer, and we just say, "Okay, fine." You now control one of the largest venues for competition. But competition is what brings change and growth and development. So you're gonna what, throw your weight around and dominate the marketplace that has in a way that has nothing to do with horology or watchmaking or design or even marketing. Make a good ad. Buying buying your competition's retail venue is a Gilded Age move. It's a monopoly tycoon move. It's a bad movie villain move. And like I said, if any of you, please, I'll read every single comment. If any of you can think of a positive reason, something that is good for the marketplace, or even good for Rolex in a sense beyond just making sure the next quarter has more digits in it, I would love to hear that. I really would. I really would, because this stinks terribly. It's a bad move. And I really hope the regulators involved reject it. It has to go past it is a monopolistic move. So I sincerely hope the regulators reject it with prejudice. Colonel H.G. Hyde. How's it going, my friend? Welcome. Peace and long life. Hi, Alex. This is another strategy to make Rolex more exclusive by having Bucherer as the only retail boutique chain. They want to be the top watch brand surpassing Patek. Yeah, but exclusivity doesn't do that. People don't respect Patek because they're hard to get. People respect Patek because they make fantastic pieces, and they're hard to get because people want them because they're fantastic pieces. As Federico has said, there are a lot of people who have said this, but Rolex should maybe make some more complicated pieces, some more interesting stuff. To force everyone to wear coveralls was in 1984. You know, Henry Ford, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. We're past that. And for Rolex to try to strong arm the industry into doing what they want, and like I said, they can't even supply existing demand. But I get what you're saying here. Get what you're saying, Colonel Hyde, that they want to be top dog, but that's in a business sense. They'll never be top dog in a horological sense. Nobody at the high end respects them as a horological brand. Nobody. They're a great watch company. They're Lexus. I wouldn't say Mercedes because frankly, Lexus has a better QC than Mercedes. Um, but they're a Mercedes. They're not an Aston Martin. They're not a Lamborghini. They're not a Ferrari. Um, Rolex trying to dominate the market with a move like this is, like I said, it's not even beneficial for them, in my opinion. Now, I say in my opinion because, like I said, some people will say they have different needs. But don't forget, Rolex is a nonprofit. They don't need the money. They have more than enough money. They build hospitals and I mean, they use their charitable aspect with a largesse in Switzerland. They do great, great things with that money, but they don't need more of it. They don't need to strong arm their competition to the point where I believe it's going to be damaging to the industry. It'll stifle the industry. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy move. It's not good for anybody. But that's my opinion. Your mileage may vary. Colonel Hyde, true Rolex needs to remember their heritage. They produce tool watches. Well, I've said this before. They did the big switch. They didn't do a bait and switch. They just did a switch. They said, okay, Rolex is now unobtainium, but here's Tudor. Tudor is reasonably priced, very well made, good tool watches, look good, quality. Here's Tudor. Have it. Rolex is exclusive now, but we give you an alternative at least. We're not totally screwing you over. So Rolex, I think, is doing some good things, but I don't know where this, dominate and control aspect is coming from because it's not healthy for I mean, like I said, is it going to help them make more watches? Will it allow them to make a repeater like Omega made a repeater, right? To say that Rolex is a high horology company and they don't even make a repeater or a tourbillon or a perpetual calendar, they make an annual. I own an Omega annual. I have a Globemaster annual calendar, which is a better watch, in my humble opinion, than the Rolex. Um, but Rolex has market domination, and market domination is nice in a lot of senses, but it doesn't make the watch better. Now, as I said, I own an Air King. I think it is a fantastic watch. I put it on the time grapher, never disappoints. It runs on rails. Fantastic watch. Feels great, looks good. It really is I enjoy wearing it. Sometimes you have to separate the art from the artist. I'm not happy with Rolex management right now. I'm not, and it bothers me that their actions are not just going to damage themselves in the long run. It's going to damage Omega. It's going to damage Hamilton. It's going to damage Tag Heuer. It's going to damage Jaeger-LeCoultre. It's going to damage Zenith. Everybody that Tourneau, because it's not just Bucherer, it's Tourneau too. So all the companies they handle, unless Rolex is got the soul of Jesus, are going to be treated as secondhand, second-class citizens. Rolex own once any one brand owns the shop, how can another brand get dominance? Right? Um, that would then be contrary to their business interests. Nobody buys something to then be altruistic. You husband your resources. You take the profit out of what you own. I'm not denying them the right to buy things. I'm just saying I disagree with their choice of purchase. They and in the process of doing what they're going to do, I think they'll damage not only the industry, but I think they'll damage themselves. I honestly do. And I would love to hear somebody convince me otherwise. I really would. And not just for well, Rolex doesn't even have shareholders. They're a nonprofit. So at the end of the day, it doesn't even really help anybody if you think about it, even from the rapacious capitalistic point of view. Well, they will make a few more. They'll build a few more schools and hospitals in Switzerland with the money that they've made, and they might hopefully donate it to other good causes because they are a nonprofit. So there is a silver lining to that cloud. That the comical profits that they're going to make from this move, they can only pay their executives so much. So some of that's going to wind up back in the charitable circuit. But then that's just my opinion. Oh, we're about halfway through the show, unless, I mean, I look at the half hour mark as like we start looking for the exit if we're not rolling with our conversation, and I close up. But if we're rolling, I go the full hour or whatever the percentage. But like I said, tonight was just I wanted to rant about this whole thing. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's healthy. And I think that the regulators, and I hope somebody who knows a regulator or knows somebody who has influence, who cares about watches, you know, lobbies for the community, the watch community. We need competition. We need a level playing field. We need a fair marketplace. What is serendipity, what is wonderful for the spider is terror for the fly. Just because it's good for Rolex, and not even, like I said, not even in a horological sense, how is it helping Rolex make better or more watches? But just look at this and say, well, like like I said, almost half of the respondees to the survey said they didn't care. When the impact, if they do get approval to buy, and I'll eat my words, 6 months, a year from now, I'll have an episode and I'll say, "Hey, I was wrong. Rolex has been managing these stores very well, and you would never know Rolex owned them." But I don't think I'll be saying that, and I really, really, really wish I could. Hope I can, but I think Rolex is not going to handle this well. I don't think the marketplace is ready for this level of domination. That would be as if General Motors bought all of the Shell gas stations in the United States or something, or whatever the number, Standard Oil, right? Exxon. It would be as if Chevrolet, GM bought all the gas stations in the United States or everywhere, because Bucherer is international, you know. So if GM owned the gas stations, how long do you think before they changed the nozzle shapes or something stupid like that? Monopolization is a bad thing. That's why crazy Teddy Roosevelt, as capitalistic and militaristic he was a trust buster. He broke up corporations because it, the same. Think about it. He had a soldier's logic. The battlefield is better when there's flexibility and initiative and things like that. Just blindly doing something is how you get people killed. And a marketplace that is dominated by a single mindset is not a healthy marketplace. It's not. And maybe we should raise our voices. I wonder if there's a petition or something. I'll look into that. Maybe I'll set up a petition. But maybe we should set up a petition to have, and see who cares. Half of us, well, I shouldn't say half of us. Half of the respondents to my survey didn't care. But I wonder how many people care enough to try to, maintain a more fair marketplace for everybody, a place where we can buy and sell and trade watches with less worry from flippers and scammers and rapacious retailers and speculators. Why not just go, wow, that's a cool watch? But then again, there are people who give me crap for putting this on a NATO because they say that putting a watch of this caliber on a NATO is beneath it. And I'm like, dude, it's just a strap. And it's a hot day, and a NATO is a more comfortable band. And I don't care what the watch. I mean, I do care what the watch costs in the sense that I don't want to lose it or anything. But when I'm wearing a watch, I'm not wearing it because of what it costs. I'm wearing it because of what I like about it and how it looks and all of that other. And I think it actually looks kind of boss with my outfit. So the NATO works perfectly with this piece. I kind of use that as a litmus test also for people who look at the value of the watch over the watch itself. And this move by Rolex is a value move, not a watch move. It's a move to satisfy some key in a suit looking at a ledger, either for, I mean, it's a nonprofit. that's not losing money. That can't sell what I mean, they can't make enough to sell right now. They can't satisfy the current demand, and they're expanding their retail footprint. Call me crazy, but I think that's stupid. I mean, stupid from a horological sense, from a manufacturing sense, from a providing a service to the community sense, from a screw everybody, I want to get my money sense. It's right on top of it. Great move. Make a lot of money for a lot of people. Not going to help very many of them. I don't think it'll help any, but I would love to be convinced otherwise. I really would. So, James, even if Rolex is trying to stem the flow of watches into the gray market, oh goodness, I wish that would happen. If they bought, if them buying Tourneau and Bucherer, I mean, they bought Bucherer and they got Tourneau as the result because Bucherer just bought Tourneau. But I'd like to mention that because people keep forgetting Tourneau's not a shabby retailer chain in itself. But if that actually clamped down and watches were more available at retail because they were now more in charge of the retail chain, then like I said, that's part of that episode where I eat crow. I would have a chef make me a crow-shaped pie or something, and I would eat it on camera because that would be one of those altruistic kind of things that would be an unexpected result of this. If by buying Bucherer they took the for exhibition only signs off and all of a sudden there were watches for us to buy, I would come on and I would be Mr. Humble Pie. I would say, I didn't I was wrong. Rolex was so right. We can buy watches now. Don't you like my new Daytona? I bought it at retail cost." That would be a great story. That would be a fantastic story. If they bought these chains and the result were that Rolexes would be available because the gray market got pinched off, I'll change my tune like that. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Call me cynical. Um, I don't know I'm finishing James' post first. I don't know if I believe they're ignoring how the supply issues created the speculation bubble they claim they hate. Well, I think that's why they created that, certified used thing so that they could at least monetize some of that speculation. And they still sell their used products under their own name higher than their retail products under their own name. And yet we put up with it. Um, my friend, Gian Milan, sorry couldn't make it for this stream. I'm at a friend's birthday. Tell them all, live long and prosper. Happy birthday. And hopefully you gave him a watch for his birthday or her birthday. James, the PR spin has been that Bucherer wanted to sell and Rolex did not initiate the deal. I don't believe this entirely either. Well, I mean, okay, so if let's even follow that logic, right? Like I said, you're star pupil, James. You always come to the table with some cool information. Um, but let's say that. Let's say Bucherer wanted to sell. Rolex is the only person that could afford. Bucherer wanted to sell, and they had just bought Tourneau. You don't buy other people when you're trying to sell yourself. Would they buy Tourneau and said, "Oh my goodness, I made a mistake. Let's bail." Bucherer is not a single person anymore; it's a board. So they bought Tourneau and said, "Owie, let's bail, let's sell," or we bought Tourneau. Now we're big enough to be bought by somebody like Rolex. Why not Swatch Group? Why not any of the other? Well, jewel. Don't forget, Bucherer is also jewelry. Why not a chain like why not a company like Cartier? Actually, Cartier is currently number 2, and they have such a prestige, and they actually make jewelry too, and, they don't have any dog models because people said, "Oh, the Air King." I'm like, "Well, what about, their dress line?" But, we can all snipe in different directions all evening. The bottom line is that from my like I said, this is my opinion, this is my spin, this is my pitch. I don't think it's healthy because it does nothing to increase the quality of Rolex manufacturing. It's not like they're gonna magically, because of this purchase, come out with a repeater or a tourbillon or a perpetual calendar or a world timer. They have a GMT in the Sky Dweller, but, they don't have a world timer. And the companies that they try to pretend that they're of the caliber, like Patek, Vacheron, Audemars, Omega, have tourbillons, have repeaters. So, maybe I mean, and they make fantastic watches now. Like I said, I have an Air I love it to death. But maybe Rolex should, like, focus on making more or better watches before they start trying to corner the market by just buying everything in sight. And, if Bucherer really did wanna sell, I don't get the timing, you know? So, maybe, like I said, maybe it was a long-term plan, and Rolex directed Bucherer to buy Tourneau so they would have an even bigger footprint once to not sell any watches in once they bought Bucherer. Because that's the other side of, I can't get away from that point. They can't fill the need now. And they're gonna I mean, they're in all of these stores already. Rolex is in Tourneau, Rolex is in, Bucherer. So it's not like they're going to, have to make more watches to fill that void. But what I'm saying is that why buy those stores when maybe they were threatening to close the windows because there was no sales or something? I don't know. I don't see, like I said, I don't see a watchmaking, a horological, manufacturing to create side of this argument. All I see is a business move. And from a business move side, fine. But I'm a watch collector. So from a watch collector's point of view, no, it's not good for us. But that's my opinion. I mean, I'd love to, like I said, I'd love to be convinced otherwise, but I don't see any other way to look at it. This is a move that benefits, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't even benefit them horologically. It just benefits some people in some offices somewhere because, like I said, they don't even make a profit. They don't even have shareholders. So it's not like they have rapacious shareholders who are on their necks for profit every quarter. They take the long view with everything, everything. And yet they think this is a good long-term move. I don't get it. It stifles competition. It smacks of monopolistic behavior. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't even make more watches for us to buy. But then again, like I said, if it turns out that, this closes up all the gray market holes, I'll have my humble pie crow eating alternate contest or whatever episode and mea culpa my way all the way through it. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen. Love to know your thoughts. Either leave them now or when you think of them later, leave them in the comments later on when the stream goes live. But, no, I don't think it's good. And I really, really sincerely hope the regulators stop it. And there's an outside chance. I'd give it about a 30% chance that the regulators, a one-third chance, a 1 out of 3 chance that the regulators will step on it because, it is a baller move. They would be controlling the venue that their competition is sold in. And, I think that's antitrust. Or I should say, I think that's trust, and we should treat it as an antitrust issue. But then that's just my opinion. Bravo Delta. Hey, how's it going, my friend? Um, so we're about 40 minutes in. I've done my rant. Next week we'll talk about watch prices. During the week, I've got a couple of new cheapy watches I picked up. One is a Constantine Chaikin homage for less than $50, which is cute, and I encourage you to check it out. So you all take care. Love you all. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk next Sunday.